I entered into a contract in February 2023 until the end of June 2024. When I arrived, there was a delay. I was told I needed to get a new non-criminal check. This took about 2 months. Beginning of May, I received that, but shortly after, there were other problems. Eventually, it was sorted out, and by June 27th, I handed in my passport to the PSB for them to do the new residence visa. However, on June 30th, a new HR lady approached me. She was maybe a week ago hired. And she approached me and told me that there's going to be a contract renegotiation or termination. I told her that I'm not going to negotiate without my passport, which was supposed to arrive to me July 6th. And I told her that I'm willing to fulfill my contract, and my boss has to fulfill his side of it, including the promised salary raise and housing allowance. And if not, if he wants to terminate my contract, then he has to pay a big severance, because the hiring season for teachers is over. June 30th is very much over for hiring new teachers for most schools. And the other problem is later when I discovered they did work permit fraud. So I signed a contract as a teacher, and the work permit they got me is as a consultant. And on July 3rd, I discovered this. So that was another reason for me asking for a big severance, because schools cannot transfer consultant back to teacher. Yet another reason I cannot get hired now. And not only was the title on my work permit changed from teacher to consultant, but also the company name was changed. The contract I signed with was with Huasheng, but this work permit is under this Qicheng company, which I never signed with. So yeah, after waiting 3 days for any sort of update from Ellen, I lose patience. I tell her I'm going to the PSB, that I am going to get more evidence. I suspected that they did this consultant work permit fraud ever since May, because they refused to give me my work permit card. And the main thing was to make sure that when the passport is mailed out with my finished residence visa, that it's going to be mailed directly to me. And the address where they were going to mail this passport is to the employer. And so I'm trying to get that address changed to my address. My passport comes to me directly. And so I don't have my employer who wants to fire me or negotiate my contract hold over my passport over my head, right? That's sort of the idea. Unfortunately, the PSB officer involved himself into this on behalf of the school. He was very hostile towards me. This is an entire huge story. I don't want to get into detail. It'll be in my next part of this video. But basically, from July 3rd to July 10th, there is no contract update with I'm terminated or if I'm gonna stay. No update whatsoever, just same old excuse, no response from the boss. Again, this is all revealed later to be a lie, in that on July 10th, it was revealed by Ellen herself that she was in communication with the boss, Howard, since June 30th. July 11th, another PSB in a different district. So my school's in Pudong. The work permit and visa is from Yangpu PSB. And then Xuhui PSB opens up an investigation July 11th. And now his investigation is about, if there's illegal employment or illegal workers. So he says he's not concerned about my labor contract dispute, that it's outside his jurisdiction. Anyway, there's a lot of discrepancy in that statement of his, as you'll see in the later part of the video. In the end, he closes the case by saying that, oh, sorry, yeah, this is Xuhui PSB. Pudong PSB is the one who should investigate this, and they should call you. They may call you. And okay, the biggest suspicious part though was that he could not close the case. He told me July 11th he could not close the case until the boss of my company comes back from America. And when he got back, July 27th, suddenly the case is just closed on this jurisdictional technicality. And Pudong PSB never contacts me. And then I get my passport back with the stay visa on August 11th, something like that. And if you look at my visas, you can see that my old residence visa was valid until July 31st from Guangdong, and that was canceled July 4th. My new residence visa for Shanghai was issued, it looks like July 4th, valid until the next year, but it was canceled on July 5th. So yeah, this is very irregular, as you should know by now from the other part of the video regarding the work permit typical process, and especially that article in Entry Exit Law 33, which gives us employees 10 days to before having to need to cancel a residence visa. And you can see here that immediately they canceled all my residence visas basically within 2 days. And then the official reason for this, I was told in August by the PSB in Yangpu, that it's because my school that fired me for some made up reasons on July 14th told the PSB that they fired me and they canceled my work permit. Well, in fact, my work permit has not been canceled. My work permit is still valid. So there was no real reason the PSB should have been able to cancel my valid residence visa, because no work permit was canceled. So I'm now in a position where my work permit's not canceled, so no school can start a new work permit. And then some other schools, most other schools, as we identified in the first part of this video, require a work cancellation letter and a release letter, both of which the school is refusing to provide unless I sign a document that states I won't pursue my company for any damages. Obviously, I refuse that. Don't want to give up that right. And yeah, so this is, as of now, August 24th, making this video. I've had multiple schools willing to hire me. However, they cannot due to this work permit non-cancellation of my school. And I'm now on a stay visa that's expiring September 2nd. Yes. And it seems that there is no investigation for any of the workers at that school for illegal working, or any investigation against the school for employing workers illegally. And this was all reported to the PSBs, to the Labor Bureau, and also to the Education Bureau. I just want to finish this summary by showing you the companies involved. So as I said, I signed a contract with Huasheng. and through their work permit fraud, basically forging my signature on a different contract. My work permit's under this Qicheng company. So I'll post all the company structure here, how they're connected with each other. One thing I discovered looking at the company profile is in the company profile, it looks like any legal issues a company has is posted by the government. And you can see that here they were penalized, as you can see here. And this is in relation to their Montverde's new campus that they are currently in. I'll show you a picture here. And I mentioned before the suspicion they were trying to delay this. You can see in the message between me and Alan on July 3rd that I was suspicious. They were delaying this. Because I mentioned on June 30th I was going to report this to the Education Bureau, all the problems of the school, which is totally a different video, all the problems teachers have and students have. But I was a new teacher and they were the senior teachers, so they have a lot more problems than I do regarding the school management and curriculum and all that. It's a different story. But yeah, basically the school is not licensed to be a school, and I discovered this in May, and this is actually the reason they couldn't get me a working permit as a teacher. And on top of that, there is a deadline for these types of schools that I got from my colleague. He sent me this information. I'll show that in front of you here. Basically, they have until the end of August to get their license. And yeah, obviously, if I'm going to the Education Bureau exposing all the education violations, then I guess they wouldn't be able to get that. So that's why my suspicion is that they were delaying any negotiation or contract termination until they could bribe the PSB officers, because in the end, there was nothing done except against me, which is canceling all my residence visas. And the school doing that actually brazenly in front of the PSB officers, saying in front of the Xuhui investigating officer that they're not going to give me my release letter, a work cancellation letter, or severance pay or missing salary or any of that. So yeah, that's basically the summary. The next part of the video will deal with what happened in May. As I mentioned, from the point where I got my non-criminal check, there was another problem with the whole stay visa needing, and that's an episode in itself. And then after that, that's where we get into the bread and butter of this video, which is all my evidence on the PSB and my interaction with them, and I think some violations of law they were doing, procedurally speaking, and all that. And yeah, the next two parts of this video are very much more detailed. Purpose of them being to consolidate all my most of my evidence. I didn't want to publish every little thing, but yeah, I have basically consolidated all my evidence for my arbitration and court hearings, trying to get my work permit canceled and the other stuff, right?